and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, well, welcome everybody. We will call this meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Von Crooks. Do we see Timber online?
Nope.
Here.
Oh.
Can you state what city and state you're in?
Trenton, Michigan.
Thank you. Benedetti.
Here.
Kibawatan.
Present.
Lefevre.
Present.
Pate.
Here.
Perugi. Rizeppa.
Here.
Quorum present, Mayor Rizeppa.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Could we get a motion to excuse Councilperson Perugi?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, it is unanimously so ordered. Thank you. All right, next up on our agenda here, we have the minute approval for the March 15th, 2021 regular meeting, along with the March 29th, 2021 special meeting.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, it is unanimously so ordered. Next item on the agenda we have here is the public comment regarding items on today's agenda. For anyone wishing to speak at this time, again, we ask that it is strictly for items that are on today's agenda. We'd ask that you begin with your name and address, that you limit your comments to 5 minutes, and that you do so by raising your hand on the Zoom feature. And to do so, you click participants and then raise hand on the right-hand side, which should be at the bottom of your screen. Again, that's participants and then raise hand. I think on some computers or mobile devices, it might say reactions and then raise hand or something of the sorts, but if you could indicate so on Zoom, that would be great. We'll give it just a second to see if we have anyone wishing to speak. And not seeing any hands going up, we will move right on along here. So we have here, next on our agenda is appointments, and I am asking for the approval of my appointments here to the Cultural Commission and the Historical Commission. The Cultural Commission appointments are all for terms expiring on April 1st, 2024, and I'm asking for your approval for the appointments of the following individuals: Elizabeth Hardig, Carol Bridges, Jack Eggleston, Hannah Mitsuwada Boylan, Bonnie Forrest, Patrick Taylor, Amanda Petrarca, and Cassandra Kings. And then for the Historical Commission, the appointment of John Hodgson, also for a term expiring on April 1st of 2024.
Support.
Or
Or do I have to make the motion?
Yeah,
I'm
motion,
sorry.
please. That's okay.
I would like to make the motion to appoint the following people to the Cultural Commission and the Historical Commission.
So moved. Or supported. I'm sorry.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, whichever one,
Great,
yeah.
man. That was good.
All right, so it's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Benedetti.
Yes.
Kibawatan.
Yes.
Lefevre.
Yes.
Pate.
Yes.
Rizeppa.
Abstain?
Von Crooks.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mayor Rizeppa.
All right, thank you all very much, and thanks to those individuals for their interest in not only restarting the Cultural Commission, but joining to begin with and joining the Historical Commission as well. So we're really excited to see what those groups can do. Next item on the agenda, we have for our 33rd District Court, fines, costs, and fees for February 2021, and I will defer to our court delegate, Councilman Lefevre.
Thank you, Mayor. Make a motion to receive and place on file the court costs for February 2021, and we owe the court $10,686.32.
We have a motion.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor Zeppa?
Yep, Councilwoman Von Crooks.
Yeah, the microphones are not working. Debbie's is not working, and neither is Bill's.
I was just told mine was not working.
Is your green light on?
Yeah, my green light's on.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Flick your spell.
The only one we can hear is you, Stephen.
Let's see, can you tap yours, Bill, to see if...
Ours are not.
The people on TV can hear you perfectly, I'm sure, but I think on Zoom, it's really hard to hear anybody else.
Oh, okay.
normal.
So I think we'll try and figure a way around this here when, so on Zoom. I know it's a little bit tougher on Zoom as opposed to the YouTube feed, that's correct. So we'll try and figure something out to work around this of just shouting a little bit louder or something like that. So, all right, we've got a motion and support. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, it is unanimously so ordered. All right, next item on the agenda we have is for groups and organizations. We have the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 426 VFW Post 1888 Annual Poppy Distribution. Madam Clerk?
Okay, thank you. The American Legion Auxiliary Unit 426 and VF Post 1888 is looking for permission to have their annual poppy distribution in the city of Trenton on May 6th, 7th, and 8th, and this would be under the direction of the police department and also pending approval from the Civic Commission.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, is unanimously so ordered. All righty, next on the agenda here, we have our economic development consultant, Jim Wagner, here to give us an update on some of the ongoing projects around town and report out on that. So, see at the podium here, Mr. Wagner, I will let you take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Rizeppa and members of the City Council. I think it's been about 6 months since I've been here. Tonight, I have a couple of people with me that have another conversation after this, and so I'm glad we're up in the beginning. And I asked Mr. Dennis Schreibus, who is a representative Crown, MSC, and Brian Kelly. This back. Is that okay?
Oh,
What?
there.
It's okay?
I think we're fine now.
Anyway, I asked them to come on for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes to bring us up to date because I'm sure everybody wants to know what's going on with McLouth. And so if I may turn it over to Mr. Dennis Schreibus from Crown, he is on Zoom.
Great. Yeah, Dennis, how are you? Thank you for joining us, and I would be happy to have you.
I apologize, Mayor and council members. On the Zoom, we're only able to hear you, Mayor Rizeppa, and we couldn't hear the introduction that Jim gave, so I apologize.
No worries at all. Yeah, we were just talking about that just a second ago. That's a little tougher on Zoom for everyone else in the chamber. That for anyone else watching, that might be easier to stream on YouTube. But as a participant, I know that that's all tougher from you. But he was just giving you the introduction of saying that hey, you're just here to give a couple-minute update on what's going on at the McLouth property and all that good stuff.
Sure. So thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight, Mayor and council members. I'm happy to report that from MSC Land standpoint, we're in the final work that needs to be done on the site. Each month we put out, as does the EPA, a summary of the work to date, and I'll just give you a highlight of that. And Brian, I apologize if I'm stealing some of your thunder. But to date, we've removed 2,500 yards of friable asbestos-containing material. We've disposed of 4,000 tons of galveston siding, 21,000 pounds of construction and demolition debris. We've removed 498 tons, 87 total transformers from the site. We've properly disposed of over 2,800,000 gallons of liquid waste, disposed of 930 tons of Tosca, which is a hazardous waste, and then finally about 2,000 yards of other non-hazardous materials. So we've done a lot of work. We're proud of that work. We couldn't have done it without our great team of contractors, two of which are located in the community, Cogent Recovery and D21 and Next Gen Disposal and Asbestos Company, and also our consultant who is headquartered, does have a Wayne County headquarters, although they're not in this local community. That's ASTI Environmental. So that's what we've done. I hope everyone enjoys the better view of the river, but we still do have some work to finish. And so broadly speaking, we have, I look at it as sort of 3 or 4 buckets of work remaining. Obviously, the last structures on the site are the 2 stoves that are remaining. When we began the work on the site, there were 5. So we've taken down 3 of them and 2 remain. So that's one scope of work that we hope to begin work to taking. We hope we'll be able to take those down beginning in early June. Again, those are the stoves. We have on site what we call skulls. If you drive down the property line, you used to be able to see them. They're those large metal bullets. We have to unfortunately cut those in order to be able to transport them off the site. They're just too large to be able to load onto a truck to take off site. There's been some concern about the skulls because it does generate a bit of smoke when we are cutting those. We spent November and December providing a lot of data to Eagle about how we do that, what our procedures are, and we believe that Eagle has well, we don't believe, they do, they have blessed our procedures, and we will again begin cutting those skulls in a few weeks when we remobilize to the site. There is a bit of work with some transformers that still needs to be done, so I think we have some remnant transformers from the basement that still need to be transported off-site. And then finally, the last bit of work really is backfilling what we call the south motor room basement. We weren't able to finish that this past year because usually we use road millings or other materials to as a backfill material, and by the time we were in a position to do that work, most of the milling had stopped, so we didn't have a supply of materials to backfill with. But those are the big items that are left to do. I should say, going back to the stoves, that we've worked hard and have been improving our process every time we've taken down a stove. We think we now have a methodology of doing it that should, we hope, eliminate any dust getting kicked up. We were cited for that by Eagle, the last stove we took down. What we're going to do is design a system that's going to put out a large mist into the air, and that should help to keep down any dust from when the stove hits the ground from kicking back up. It'll encapsulate it and function sort of as an umbrella over top of the dust, if you will. So I'm happy to turn it over to Brian to see what he'd like to add. But we think we should be mobilizing to the site in a week or so. We think we will be setting up, we don't think we will next week be setting up our air monitors again and doing a baseline air monitoring sample. So you will start to see some people back on the site come next week. Brian?
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. And Mr. Mayor, council, thank you for having me back. It's been a while since I've been before the council, so thank you. Second, I just want to maybe clear up some misinformation that's been circulating on social media. And as Mark Twain says, misinformation will travel halfway around the world before the truth even gets its shoes on. And what was circulating on social media was that contaminated waste was dumped at Riverview Land Preserve. I just want to say that is false. That is false information. Riverview Land Preserve is licensed to accept non-hazardous solid waste. And the vast majority of the waste coming from McLeod cleanup is non-hazardous solid waste, building debris. There's nothing special. There's nothing notable about this waste. It's solid waste that you would find from any kind of demo project. But I did ask that MSC Land Company's contractor, ASTI, check to see if anything had been sent there to begin with. And they worked on that. Many people were working on that today. And they were found that there were 2 shipments of shredded tires sent in 2019. That's it, some shredded tires. Nothing else had been sent there. So, I just want to try to crush that false rumor that something had happened there at the preserve, because it hasn't. That out of the way, I just want to update you on what EPA work looks like. EPA's remedial program should have a contractor in place this summer. They then need to write out their assessment plans, and the thought is that work would begin the spring of 2022. And EPA will be putting together a fact sheet information to update the public so that they understand that this phase is ending, that the next phase is going to be that remedial investigation. I just want to make sure everyone understands that, I'll say it again, this is going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time for the investigation, a long time for the results, writing a record of decision, public input. It's going to be a very long process. And I know that there is a lot of people in the community that would like to see it move more quickly. I think everyone's going to want to see this move more quickly, but it's really how we get a thorough investigation. So that's what I have.
Great. Well, thank you both very, very much. I think that's super, super helpful and very insightful just for the public to know here. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr.
They have other meetings to attend, so in fact, I almost moved in with Brian today. I think I talked to him 4 or 5 times, and anyway, he cleared that up as a statement I made, as the mayor is aware, and Mr. Creech and other people. I made at the CAG meeting that no hazardous material was dumped in the quarry or at the Riverview landfill. I'm sorry that's backing up, but that's what it is. Something has got...
Yeah,
okay.
Jim, if you want to swap with me to give for this, I think that might help with the echo.
Okay. Do you have a hand mic? Give me the hand mic.
I don't think that.
It's going to work? Okay.
Oh, okay.
I think it's timbers.
No one can make out a single word.
Yeah, I think just a sound issue, so apologize for everyone. Just 1 second. Watching here. Have at it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anyway, Brian made that comment as a result of a CAG meeting last week where it was asked about where stuff was being dumped, and I made the statement publicly, and Councilman Pate was there, that nothing was being dumped at the quarry, and anything that was being dumped at the Riverview landfill was in compliance with EGLE and EPA requirements. And someone took that and ran it differently on social media, and so I just wanted to clear that up. I've talked to the mayor, I've talked to Mr. Kelly a number of times today, and I also talked to the mayor of Riverview and the city manager this evening prior to me coming here. So we have that straight, okay? I want to talk briefly, and I know you have a busy schedule because you have the budget, so I'll try to be quick. I didn't keep all 25 or 26 items on it. I will say the next important thing coming before us is the tower project, which is West and West Jefferson. I know that they've met with you relative to the parking situation with the city administration, and we are close to the time frame that they have to do their due diligence. And we have a meeting scheduled with DT for the 26th of April. I brought DT in to take a look at the lines and relocate the lines at DT's cost, and they're going to be meeting with the developers, projected developers, to see if they can work out a deal that they relocate those lines so that, as you've seen, the renderings don't make it look half ugly, okay? And so that's going to happen on the 26th of this month in the afternoon. Mr. McNally and Mr. DeSanto will be there along with representatives of DTE. Trenton Lanes, Mr. Creech and the mayor have been involved in that. We finally have that project going, and we hope to get it done. Their permission before the Planning Commission expires, their building permit, it's been extended one time, and it expires on August 27th, so if they're not moving by August 27th, they have an issue. And also, our grant expires in, I take that back, July 27th. Our grant expires in August, so we are hoping to facilitate with their attorneys and a agreement so that we can proceed to get the vapor barrier in place, and we're working on that currently. On DTE projects, both the quarry, as you know, the quarry is being utilized by DTE right now, and they're working to make improvements and comply with EPA and Eagle in Wayne County. The Trenton Channel, again, is going to be closed down, shut down in May of next year, which is going to be a serious impact about our community. And I know that DTE is working with the administration and the elected officials to move forward on that. One that was a curveball to all of us was the Eastman Solutia closing. That's sometime, and Dean, you can correct me, I believe May 1st, is it not? Something.
They should be done with production May 1st.
Okay, May 1st. We actually have the Michigan Economic Development Corporation involved in that, and we've had a couple of conversations, the mayor, the city administrator, and I have had with some outside people that are looking at that, and we're hopeful that we can do something with Eastman Solutia to make that come to fruition and utilize that site. Councilman Pate can help me on this, but I'm going to read from Joanne from Destination Downriver. I believe she is now the co-chair person.
Correct.
The coalition, I'll read from what Joanne sent me. The coalition continues to meet with communities to gain financial support and help to sustain the future. Currently, commitments have been received from Lincoln Park, Brownstown, Flat Rock, Trenton, and we hope to hear from other communities. And this is a consortium of communities along the riverfront. They're working together to improve the riverfront. The coalition has been working with the DMCVB. Tell me what that is.
I don't have that in front of me right now, Jim, sorry.
Okay. To develop I think that's,
The convention,
yeah, okay, yeah. To develop package day trips highlighting unique assets from each of the 18 downriver communities. This has been an important partner in the Destination Downriver campaign, and they are very interested in helping promote day trips to their clientele, to the international wildlife, and giving the pandemic restrictions and so on. The coalition is also starting a new podcast to help Kathy Kane, the Trenton Tribune, Ron Hendricks, that will host it. And the first podcast to talk about the downriver area is April 21st. And the next Trail Town meeting is set for April 21st at 10 a.m.
Correct.
And finally, they're waiting for confirmation from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources on their destination for Pure Michigan Trail Town designation. And I know that Mr. Harrington was working with Joanne and the committee to obtain that from the Department of Natural Resources. So that's Destination Downriver. I will tell you that today we received, and I think I left it out, but we received the final draft of the MSU project that was funded by DTE, of the students, planning students to come down here. And the goal was to connect the international wildlife with the downtown. Their report, which I looked at over the weekend, and Joanne and Hannah, Mrs. Gagne and Mrs. Wajatala, also reviewed it, and we sent our comments back today. I believe it was 141 pages long, so they came up with some good results.
Good.
M&M project is M&M Camping, which is located in the corner of West Jefferson and West Jefferson. I don't know if that's right, but that's where it is, okay? And there was potentially after they went out of business, a other buyer, but currently there is a local resident has made an offer and is working with the city to redevelop that property. And we're confident, even though it's out of the CBD, that they can come up with the appropriate parking, and we're working with them, and we should have something. We've seen some drafts, some site viewings a couple of weeks ago, and we're hoping that in the next 10 days or so that we'll hear from them that they're successful moving forward. I believe this body approved a DDA application for one of their people probably a month ago. It was for a bar. Sports bar. Here, I'm sorry, I did have the MSU Practum report, and it's right here. And as soon as it's completed and approved by the professors at MSU, it'll come before you, and they'll make a presentation sometime early in May. Is Mario here? Mario? Are you there? Okay, Mario Ferrante, okay. The St. Tim's project, due to the water and its situation and looking at it, they were able to get an extension from the Archdiocese because of the stormwater runoff. Dennis is gone too. Because of the stormwater runoff, it was cutting down the number of homes that could go on there. And so they're working now with an engineering firm. They have a site thing to see what the maximum number of homes they can put on the site to make it a viable project. So they got an extension on that. I want to reach out to the Manns family, Trenton Development Corporation, particularly Katie Manns and Nick Manns, for believing in our community. We had a conversation with them, a couple of conversations with them, and I'm proud to announce that they're putting money into one. Again, another DDA permit came before you. That's a boutique near the PKSA, and they're putting in approximately about $150,000 to $200,000 worth of rehab into there to make it for this lady that wants to develop her boutique style. In addition to that, I believe for the bridal salon that they have a tenant, and they're putting some money, and they're a longtime family here, and I reach out to them and say congratulations and thank you for doing that, for believing in our community. They have one other site that they have to develop, and we're working with them to get that developed. It's a site next to it, I believe right now it's a church, and that we'd like to get back to niche retail. It's all niche retail. As you know, Mr. McNally rented the old golf shop out, and if you went by there on Friday or Saturday, you saw how many cars were parked in there between Elliott's and for what's the name of it, Alice? It's Alice.
All About Grace.
All About Grace. Okay, I was going to say Alice, but I keep saying
Okay.
that. Thank you, okay? And so they're really interested in doing things and doing things on the weekend. And we had a meeting with them, and we talked to Mr. McNally, and Mr. McNally understands what we need to take it to the second level to help them out on the weekends. Fort King Daniel project, we applied to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation for a site readiness grant of $75,000 so that we could market that. That's approximately 42 acres. And adjacent to that is about 9.8 acres that's owned by another gentleman, Mr. Keith Bobian, I think it is his name. Anyway, and I have sat down and talked to Mr. Keith about his site, and because somebody is looking for it in adjacent, so he's willing to work with the city and do what we have to. Unfortunately, we were denied the grant for the Fort and King Dano project by the MEDC, and we're hoping when we get through the RRC that you passed in, I believe, end of February, early March, that we can get funding for it. But there is no water, and they have a problem with the sewer there, and so that's really not markable. So we were one of the 20% that didn't get funded. So we have to work on that with the owner and his attorney, and hopefully we'll get something done there that we can get it marked. It's 42 acres, it's all industrial, and you tag that on with the next parcel, that's 10 acres, and you got 52 acres that can be very, how to say, financially viable to the city and to hopefully to somebody else. And then hopefully, once we can get something done and get it on the site readiness, the MEDC and the regional partnership will help us market it. The Trenton Hamptons, if you're familiar with Vreeland and Fort Street, is a little behind schedule, but I think they're hoping early summer, late spring for opening. Trafford Square is across the street. The bank, you may or may not know, is closing, leaving it one charter in town. I've talked to Stuart a number of times, and we've met over there. The building department has met over there, and we are trying to market the bank building, and also he still has about 15,000 square feet of property left to lease inside the building. And last but not least, I have had some conversations with the Canadian National Railroad, Mr. Larry Lloyd, and we're looking about how we can keep the people, the public, informed about why it's being blocked. And even he came up with the answer, I don't know why it's being blocked when we have so much back train. And so we hope to have a meeting in the near future within the next, I would say, 60 days to discuss why it's being blocked. And so that's just a quick highlights. I didn't take Fratello's or the Marion Street stuff, Mayor, unless there's specific questions, I'll be glad to answer them. The other two people are gone. Mr. Kelly, I think, might still be on the line, but Mr. Schreiber's had to go to another meeting. If there's any questions, I will say on RRC, I'm working with Elizabeth King, because in the last 4 years, we did get some things done that complying with what they need between being certified and not certified. And Leah and the list that you received of what's getting done, accomplishments, I'm working on that list right now so that we can come to you and say, we might need $5,000 to get her so we can get to the grant stage and get money from the MEDC to pay for it. There are 2 grants available from the MEDC if we get to a certain point, and that's $22,000 and $33,000 to finish the project. But we're looking right now to see what it's going to get from where we are today to where we get to the grant place position we are with the MEDC. And that's basically, I'll look here to see if there's anything else. Clock tower. Nope, I guess that's it.
Well, I'll just stay there for questions, but I'll try and wrangle it from here. So
Okay.
I guess if it makes sense, since Timber's on Zoom, if she has any questions first, she might not be able to hear me, Jim, so if you want to ask her.
Timber, the mayor would like to know if you have any questions.
No, all I gotta say is to Jim Wagner, thank you once again. You work your tail off to try to really bring a lot of, future businesses to this community, and I applaud all your efforts. And I sit on the Economic Development Committee with you, and it's amazing what you can get done in the shortest amount of time. So thank you to you, and thank you
$5
to
off tomorrow
Crown
morning, okay?
Enterprises.
All right? Okay.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Anything else?
Anyone else from council have questions for Jim?
Nope. Thank you. I appreciate it, Mayor. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, bud.
See you.
Take care.
Great job.
Yep, take care. Thanks, Steve. Talk to you.
All righty, tagging back in here for everyone. Okay, so thank you again, Jim, very much for that very informative update. All right, next item we have here on the agenda, we have a couple here from our city controller, the first being the fiscal year 2021-2022 proposed budget. Madam Controller.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you, I'm presenting the fiscal 22 budget. The budget will be presented for public hearing and approval by the City Council at the regularly scheduled meeting on May 17th, 2021. The budget will be available on our website at trentonmi.org as of tomorrow morning. The budget will also be available for review on board docs as part of the April 12th agenda. Paper copies will be on display and available for review at City Hall Clerk's Office and at the Public Library. And the clerk will notify the public of the public hearing. I respectfully request a motion to receive and place on file and a motion to set the date of the public hearing.
So moved. Support.
It has been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I guess for everyone watching at home, I will be presenting the outline of the budget immediately after this meeting here. So stick around if you feel so inclined. But seeing none, it is unanimously so ordered. Next up, Madam Controller, we've got one other item here.
Thank you. We received a letter from the state of Michigan, and it is a retirement corrective action plan monitoring notice of compliance. So basically, the Municipal Stability Board has reviewed our plan and found us to be compliant. And we have nothing else to do.
That's what I like to hear. Do we have a
So again, I request that it be received and placed on file, please.
So moved.
Support.
moved and supported? Any further discussion? Seeing none, it is unanimously so ordered. Thank you very much, Madam Controller. All righty. Next on the agenda here, we have a couple of items from our city engineer. And I guess from that same token, would very much like to welcome Dennis Chigash on his first official day as our newly appointed city engineer. So Dennis, hopefully we won't beat you up too bad on these first few items here.
I agree. I hope you won't as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I have 4 items. Actually, one of them is from Julie Willison. I'm presenting an item that she had on here, so I'll get the one after my 3 here. The first one is for resolution of combined properties, lots 286 to 87, parts of lots 288 and 289 for Assessor's Trenton Plat number 3. It's located immediately adjacent and to the west of the historic building over there on 3rd Street and St. Joseph's. Mr. Ferrante owns the properties now and wishes to combine them all, I'm assuming for the purpose of developing them. And so I know the city assessor was quite involved in the process here. So I think we're to the place now where, yes, we can go ahead and have those properties combined. So my motion here is to agree with the findings of the Planning Commission, ASPR Committee, City Assessor, City Engineer to combine the property herein described and authorize the Mayor and City Clerk to sign the attached resolution or the City Clerk to forward documents to the Wayne County Assessment and Equalization Division for recordation.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Do we have a motion to?
So moved.
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, it is unanimously so ordered.
Thank you. The next item, City Front Hall entrance upgrade. As I'm sure everybody's noticed, the concrete out there is in some deteriorated condition. All the railings are in rough shape. The railings also you should have railings every 4 feet, I believe it is, for people if they need assistance to go up and down those stairs. It's way too far apart. So what we're going to do, hopefully, with your concurrence, is to rebuild that entrance to be more or less in keeping with the north entrance that was reworked a couple of years ago. So instead of having a broad opening there for all those stairs, it's going to be a little more narrow. Ask the building department to do their calculations and see how much width we actually need to support the occupancy of the building. In so doing, we don't have the staff anymore because of Mr. Hogan's retirement and the moving on of another employee to really conduct the work necessary to get these bid documents out for bids. So we're asking for concurrence from the mayor and council to, number one, allow us to prepare the plans, specifications, advertising, receive competitive bids for the front entrance upgrade. But as well, we're asking that you allow us to extend contract that we have with Hvac Engineering for price not to exceed $15,700 for them to prepare the plans and the specifications so we can go out to bid.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We've got a motion. Do we have support? And support? Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Dennis and I spoke earlier today, and you and I have spoken quite a bit about redesigning the entrance, and I confirmed with Dennis that we can still move forward those projects, that this doesn't impede, anything that we might want to design otherwise out front there. So it will complement it and be a good thing for residents to be able to come up here safely.
Absolutely. Great.
Okay, I couldn't hear any of that.
That's okay.
You're all right, Dennis. Don't worry. So, no, it was no questions or anything. It was, all good stuff. So, all right. Any further discussion?
This could be fun.
Seeing none is unanimously so ordered. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. The third one I have is requesting the extension of the concrete replacement program, awarding the 2021 version of it to Dominic Gaglio Construction. They've done excellent work, and the past number of years, they do have a price increase that is more or less in keeping with the cost that was passed on to them by the concrete supplier. I did contact the supplier. They sold actually the business to a place in, it's a national corporation now, located out of Tennessee. And so they raised the concrete prices in the vicinity of 8%, and Dominic extended that price on us only to the amount of 7%. Seems like it's pretty steep, but I know all the construction prices for all construction materials has just skyrocketed lately. So I request that you concur with our recommendation here and extend the 2020 concrete program contract to Dominic Gaglio Construction as indicated in the proposal until December 31, 2021, and waive the usual bidding procedure in the best interest of the city.
So moved.
Support.
And it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, one question for Dennis. Dennis, did we have to scale back on the scope of the projects that were anticipated due to this 7% increase?
So I'll try and relay that.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I just realized that. I was like, okay. So I think Councilman Bundetti had asked, because of the increases in the building costs for us, does that mean we're going to have to scale back on some of the projects that we're looking at for this upcoming year? Was that a
Yes,
okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess a little bit. Hopefully not too much. We'll see exactly what our workload ends up being and the kind of resources that we get from the controller's office from Act 51 funds. So it's all a domino kind of thing. Whatever Act 51 gives to Mrs. Saul, she passes on here and we order the work. So it shouldn't be too much less, but I'm sure we'll take a good chunk out of the needs that we find around the city.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, is unanimously so ordered.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. The last one is from the wastewater treatment plant from Julie Willison, the superintendent there. They had to have a emergency repair done, and it was in December 2020. Blower number 2 experienced a complete failure of the control system. And as a consequence, they had to have it repaired right away, or there would have been some severe repercussions. So The amount of the repair cost $10,820.50. It was already accomplished. There was a sole provider, I believe, is what Julie told me, is Detroit Pump. They were the only ones who had the ability to replace that at the time, so we didn't really have an opportunity to go out for bids. So I moved to request payment on the invoice number 1063540 to Detroit Pump in the amount of $10,820.50.
So moved.
So moved.
Support.
All right, it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none is unanimously so ordered. Thank you very much,
you.
Dennis. Four
Thank you.
unanimous right out of the gate.
Council.
Only gets better from here.
Okay. Kevin Sargent's going to use my computer here, so I'm going to step away.
Great.
Because I think he's got the next couple items.
Cool. Yep, I'll let you guys swap out there for a second. So,
Thank you.
no problem. Thank you. So, and next up, we've got our DPS Director, Kevin Sargent, here with 3 items here, it looks for us. I think we'll get started here with the request to extend the lawn mowing contract for the 2021 season. So, Kevin, feel free to take it away.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The city originally entered into lawn mowing contracts with 4 local companies, and a 1-year renewal was granted for the 2020 growing season. Each year, the growing season is unique. Priority areas and public perceptions change, and extra cuts and abatement cuttings are added. The 4 current contractors have been responsive and flexible to these adjustments and have been willing to go beyond contract requirements for the sake of the community. Additionally, they have absorbed the volatile increases in insurance costs and have made specific equipment purchases tailored to best maintain our unique and diverse areas. Unfortunately, one of our contractors, McNally's Landscape, who mowed all the city buildings and abatement cuts, was forced to abruptly retire due to medical issues in October of 2020. At that time, McNally's Landscape turned over their contract obligation to a local company, Turf Concepts, to fulfill. I was able to utilize them to finish out our 2020 mowing season and for fall leaf cleanups. They did an outstanding job and the transition was seamless. After reviewing the contractor's performances, it is my recommendation and in the best interest of the city to extend the contract for a 1-year period to DJ's Lawn Service, Frank's Lawn Maintenance, and Lou's Landscape. This request to extend the contract for another year will include a minimal increase range from 1% to 3.3%. It is also my request to grant a 1-year contract to Turf Concepts for Section 2, formerly maintained by McNally's Landscape. This contract will involve no change to the total budgeted service and will be under the same terms and conditions as the original contract. There will be no cost increase to the city as they have agreed to honor all 2020 prices. It is my intention to put the entire lawn mowing contract out for bid in the fall of 2021, but at this time, with our constrained budgets, I feel extending the existing contract for 1 more year will provide the best cost containment and level of service the city expects. Funding sources will be from the presently approved 2021 budget and the upcoming 2021-22 budget for Parks and Facilities contractual service, library contractual service, water and sewer contractual service, and major streets contractual service. That's it.
I use one of them.
And so moved.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor, ask for a roll call vote because I have to abstain.
Okay.
You know, if you want, you can split it out. Just if you want to split it out.
You should just do them all at once. I don't think we're going to have a problem with me not voting.
All right, so we've got a motion. We have a motion and support. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Cablewatten,
Yes.
LaFever,
Yes.
Pate,
Yes.
Rezeppa,
Yes.
Von Crooks,
Yes.
Benedetti.
Abstain.
Motion carries, Mayor Rezeppa.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, Kevin, I'll turn it back to you for these next 2 here. Thank you for that.
The next item I have is a request authorization to replace the rooftop HVAC system at Fire Station 2. During routine maintenance and inspection, expert mechanical found the heat exchanger on the rooftop unit at Fire Station 2 was cracked, forcing them to red tag the unit and take it out of service. This unit is 20 years old and in need of replacement. I have obtained 3 quotes that are attached for your review. The current code requires that a safety railing be installed around this unit as it is less than 10 feet from the roof's edge. This is included in all 3 quotes. It is my recommendation to utilize Flow Air Heating and Cooling, who was the lowest bidder in the amount of $8,020. Funds are available in Parks and Facilities Contractual Services, account 101-265-818-000.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, it's unanimously so ordered. Thank you, Kevin. I'll let you take it away with the last one here. Request to purchase a new water and sewer department supervisor truck.
Approval is requested to purchase a 2021 F-150 4x4 crew cab pickup truck in the amount of $36,599. This new pickup truck would be replacing a 2012 F-250 Super Duty pickup that the water and sewer supervisor currently drives. Several times throughout the year, the water department supervisor and other water operator licensed employees need to attend required classes and seminars. These classes are for the employees to earn CEUs to keep up with their certifications. This often requires driving to various parts of the state where these courses are offered. In the past, this has required use of 2 or more single cab pickup trucks to transport the employees. This new unit is a crew cab style with a full back seat capable of transporting 5 passengers. This unit will be assigned daily to the water and sewer department supervisor and also be used to transport employees to and from these classes and seminars. This truck will be purchased utilizing the state of Michigan MyDeal government bid pricing through Gorno Ford. The 2012 F-250 that we are replacing would stay in the fleet and serve as a badly needed replacement for the motor vehicle pool parts truck. The parts truck that is being used now is a 2005 F-150 pickup truck, which is badly rotted out and getting costly with repairs. This 2005 F-150 will be placed in an upcoming auction to be sold. This pickup was budgeted for in the current budget, and funds are available in the Water and Sewer Machinery and Equipment account 592-563-982-000.
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, it's unanimously so ordered. All right, thank you very much, Kevin. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Next on our agenda here, we have from our Parks and Recreation Director, Tim Beaker, the Destination Downriver yearly fee from 2021.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Trying out some new technology today. So, but thank you very much for honoring this. I would look to ask for approval in the amount of $5,000 coming from the membership and dues account 101-691-958.000. This is the Destination Downriver yearly fee that the city of Trenton has looked to participate in. And as Mr. Wagner got to earlier, Lincoln Park, Brownstown, I believe, and a few other cities in the area have already committed as well to participate. This is a great opportunity to bring more marketing opportunities to the Downriver area and communities about.
So moved.
Support. Been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, is unanimously so ordered. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Alrighty, so that is it for our department heads and officials. Madam Clerk, did we have any late items this evening? All right, great. Seeing none there, we'll move on to our disbursements and statements and then our reports. And for all that, I will defer and turn this over to our Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Bundetti.
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion to approve authorized disbursements for April 5th, 2021, amount of $210,087.55.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, is unanimously so ordered. Councilman Bundetti, I'll let you go for the reports here.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it ain't the phone. I think it's somebody else that's logged in.
Online.
Thank you. Okay. Make a motion, or
For the record, for just 1 second here, just so you're aware, Councilwoman Von Crooks, we had some bad feedback coming from yours. So when you do need to chime in, I'll hit the unmute thing once Councilman Bundetti makes his motion here too for the report. So just as a forewarning here.
Receive and place on file the reports for schedule of investments in cash on hand dated March 31st, 2021. Board of Review minutes dated March 2021. Library Advisory Board minutes dated January 13th, 2021. Fire and Police Pension Board minutes February 17th, 2021. Police Department monthly report January 21st, January 2021 and February 2021.
Support.
All right, it has been moved and supported on the all the reports here. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, it is unanimously so ordered. Next item on the agenda. Oh, we've got a couple more here.
Got a couple more for you, Mayor. Don't worry. Make a motion to move to schedule budget sessions for Monday, April 12th, 2021, Monday, April 19th, 2021, immediately following the regular council meetings, and also Thursday, April 22nd, 2021, at 7 p.m., and Tuesday, April 27th, 2021, at 7 p.m. if needed.
All right, it's been moved to hold the budget sessions. Is there support?
Support.
It's moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none's unanimously so ordered. And I will give everyone a heads up that on that 22nd date, there is an off chance I might be just a couple minutes late on that due to another work obligation that runs close to it. But the fortunate part is that I am the least important person as part of those, and I'll let you guys hack away at it for me here. So it's all right.
Got one more for you, and don't ever say you're the least important person, please.
Trust me, those are my favorite meetings. I don't have to.
I bet they are. So lastly, move to make a motion to schedule a closed study session on April 22nd, 2021, immediately following the budget session for the purpose of discussing sale or acquisition of property and contract negotiations.
Support.
Has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? Yep, yes, yeah.
Actually, I did have a comment. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
I was still reading. I'm sorry. So we just made a motion and accepted that the Thursday, April 22nd meeting is if needed.
I think the 29th meeting was.
No, the 29th meeting is if
or
needed.
20. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Whatever the last one was. The 27th. If we need that one.
Oh, okay, so I'm not reading the commas properly then. Okay, I was just concerned if we didn't have a meeting that day, why would we have a study session that
Gotcha,
day? So,
yeah.
Right.
okay. All right,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
all
right.
set.
There
I'm
should have been
sorry.
more punctuation someplace.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
LaFever? Pate?
Yes.
Rezeppa?
Yes.
Von Crooks?
Yes.
Benedetti?
Yes.
Cabawatan?
Yes.
Motion carries, Mayor Rezeppa.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Benedetti.
No problem.
All righty. Next up here, we have the comments from the council and officials. So I've got a few things here to go over. So the first things first, as I've started with all of my updates here, is our updated COVID numbers. And unfortunately, I think, which won't come as much of a surprise to anyone, we're seeing a huge upsurge here. Our third wave here in Michigan. The most recent report we got as of today, we are now at 1,602 positive cases cumulatively, along with 37 fatalities. And that is up from our last meeting where we were at 1,257 cases and 33 fatalities. So in that time frame, that's 345 new cases, along with 4 new fatalities, unfortunately. And I had done some rough math on that, but over the last about 13 months of this pandemic, actually, about 22% of our cases have come just in this last month. So I think that, if anything, that is just a real, and I'm going to really push on that to get vaccinated. I'll segue into that later, but did want to inform everyone, for those that didn't know, and I know that everyone here did, but unfortunately, of those new 345 cases, I was in fact one of them. And I'm fortunate that feeling great now, knock on wood, no setbacks or anything like that. But I just wanted to, take the opportunity to talk about, I guess, how, well, for that matter, I guess whether it would, depending on how you look at it, how lucky or unlucky I was. I actually contracted it. And I guess I am fortunate for knowing how I got it and all that stuff, and that I was able to find out, frankly, the morning after being exposed, so that there was no other exposures incidentally in there. But it was actually came 6 days after getting vaccinated. So when they say that it takes 2 weeks for the vaccine to take effect, please listen to medical professionals on that, because, yeah, that is very much true. It was 6 days after I was vaccinated. I got together with 3 friends, and we decided to get together at home thinking that, hey, this might be a little bit safer than going out and things like that. Unbeknownst to us, one of those 3 friends had been exposed the week prior. However, he had been tested after the fact and tested negative. And it just turned out that his test was too soon after his exposure. So want to use that as a lesson that, yes, when the CDC says that you should wait 5 days before getting a test after exposure, they absolutely mean that. So that was on a Friday evening. That Saturday morning, fortunately, like I said, our friend had sent us a text to the 3 others saying that, hey, I woke up with fever and chills. You guys might want to go get tested. I'm on my way to do so right now. And then 5 days later, I did get tested and tested positive. Unfortunately, knock on wood, my symptoms were much more mild than others. So I think that even with only 6 days of vaccination strength in me, it made a huge impact for me. I was really exhausted for a couple days, had a 3-4 day stretch with that, and was very severely congested. But outside of that, given the vaccine and all, that I think that it helped me quite a bit, whereas my other 3 friends who both are all around my age, late 20s, and otherwise absolutely great health, had it hit them very, very hard. One of them actually almost admitted himself to the hospital at one point. So it's not something to mess around with. Make sure that you follow those guidelines, the exposure guidelines, and I think it's important to remember that just because you're taking the precautions doesn't necessarily mean that A, everyone else is, or B, that they know what the precautions are that they're supposed to be taking. Like I said, that I had the friend who had gotten tested, thought he had done everything that he was supposed to, but had just done so a little bit too soon, and it didn't get detected. So I think that, big takeaways there. Just make sure that you follow those guidelines on exposure, and above all else, please go get vaccinated. It does absolute wonders. And is really the only way that we're going to be able to get through this here. So I think that is actually an excellent segue, too, for those that don't know, to let everyone know that we do fortunately have another vaccine clinic coming to Trenton. We have time slots. It was scheduled for both Saturday, this coming Saturday, April 17th, and this coming Monday, April 19th. From 9 to 3 at Westfield. Fortunately, I guess double-edged sword here too, that our Saturday time block is completely full. All of our appointments have been booked for Saturday, so all of those vaccines will be going to good use and getting into arms of downriver residents. It is open for anyone that is 18 and up. We do still have appointments available for Monday, so make sure that you can, if you still need your vaccine, that you can still get one. You can find the instructions on how to get an appointment either on trentonmi.org, or you can give us a call here at City Hall at 734-493-3821. And I'll repeat that again momentarily, but there are still appointments available for next Monday, the 19th. It's from 9 to 3 at Westfield. There's still around 100 appointments or so available. It's for anyone 18 and up that is a resident of either Trenton, Riverview, Rockwood, Woodhaven, or Gibraltar. Did I get all those? Okay, just want to make sure. And that you can find information on how to sign up on trentonmi.org, or you can call 734-493-3821. And I guess the 2 questions that we get all the time: no, we do not know what vaccine it will be until the morning of. We didn't find out until last time. Last time we did have the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, though. And yes, it is 18 and up, as opposed to, even though 16 and up is eligible everywhere, they did provide us guidance that we should do it 18 and up, just because the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is still only cleared for those that are 18 and up. So just in case we get those, we wouldn't want to have to turn anyone away the day of for not meeting that. So one last time, we've got the Vaccination Clinic on Monday, April 19th, 9 to 3 at Westfield for anyone 18 and up that is a resident of Trenton, Riverview, Rockwood, Gibraltar, or Woodhaven. And you can sign up on trentonmi.org and go to the link right on the homepage there, or give us a call at 734-493-3821. Alrighty, and then the other two brief things that I wanted to tell everyone, I just wanted to once again congratulate and welcome Dennis Shigash, our new city engineer, and thank him for being here tonight. And then lastly, I've had a lot of questions about it over the last week or so, and I know that we had talked, but for Mr. Beaker, if you were able to, and I'm sure you were probably planning to at the end, but if you wouldn't mind giving an update on where we are with the summer festival and what the committee is looking at and where we stand there.
Definitely, Mayor. We're excited. We've had the opportunity to look at some potential changes to the festival in creating a spaced out version. We're working with the committee. It's an ongoing process, and we do know that there will not be a beer tent this year, and there will not be a larger entertainment that we've had in the past. But we think we can do some socially distanced festival goings with some great food and some great vendors, and we're looking to see different ways that we can do that. We've also had with potentially of the vintage market coming in and taking a small section of the festival to help us out, and we're excited. So more things to come, and we hope to announce and have greater announcements in the near future.
Great. Thank you very much. We appreciate it, and certainly appreciate the committee's work on that too. So with that, that is actually all I have for my update so far, and so we'll go to the rest of council here, and tonight I believe we start with Councilman Cabowatton.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I've got a little bit of a list here tonight, but it's all good stuff. So, first of all, I want to, I was made aware that this week, I believe, is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. So I do want to wish all of those in our 911 dispatch and those folks that work in that field a great amount of gratitude for the great work that you do in keeping our city safe. Also, I checked out a couple others. So there's Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week in April, Public Health Week, and National Library Week. So my appreciation to all those organizations, especially the library, now that the mayor put me on the library board. So kind of cool. So moving on, I would like to thank the Garden, I believe it's the Garden Club that handles the Cultural Center and does the improvements over there. My son Connor absolutely loves going over there and checking out the Children's Garden. If you haven't been by there, it's well worth the visit. It's a great facility that we have. It's just nice to get out and let him run around, and he likes to check out everything in the garden, and it always evolves throughout the summer. So it's a really great thing that they do there, and my appreciation to them for all their efforts over there. It's always just great to get over there. Also, a couple thank yous to Karen and Dean, just for the work you guys have done so far on budgets and getting us this wonderful package to review, and look forward to taking to looking at this some more. So, and everybody else that I missed on that budget prep. I know it's not just the two of you, but thank you very much for that. And also, Mr. Beaker, special thank you, I think, to Tim. Oh, he probably can't hear me.
I'll try and translate.
You can watch the YouTube version, but no, I wanted to say a very special thank you to Tim and his staff over at the Ice Arena last weekend. Some of you may know my son has just started to learn how to skate. So Saturday was his first day learning how to skate. The instructors over there, the ladies over there that did the instruction, did an awesome job. and so good of a job that he wants to go back. So you will, we're getting into the hockey world, at least in my son's eyes. But no, thank you very much, and my appreciation to those folks that handle those instructions. And if you need to find me on Saturday mornings, I'll be at the ice rink, so you'll know where to find me. Other than that, I'll yield the chair.
Great, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Councilman. That's great to hear. Alrighty, next up, we have Councilwoman Von Crooks. Do you have anything for us tonight?
Yeah, just a question. Been getting a lot of inquiries about the Westfield building for the seniors. When we are going to maybe reopen that for some small groups in there to, get together and socialize. Do you have any ideas on that?
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually just talked to Tim about that recently. Or actually, no, I don't think I talked to Tim, but talked to Dean, who talked to Tim. But so, Tim, do you have any updates for us there on the Westfield Center and the status?
He's muted.
Oh, Tim, you are muted.
Let's try that again.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor. No, we are working to try and get some different programs put in place. We've got to be very creative, very selective in trying to figure out how we can handle indoor events or indoor gatherings, especially with the uptick in numbers. So we are working, and hopefully we will have some types of classes that we can put together, whether it's outdoors in good weather or indoors in bad. So I would anticipate some different ideas and concepts coming out within the next month at the latest.
Okay, and while I have you, my next question is, you said you're going to do the festival with no beer. I mean, is there a concept there that the people that have restaurants with liquor license can sell liquor and come out into the street, or how are they going to work that? Explain to me the beer concept.
Definitely. We are working and trying to look into that as well. Met with administration about that last week. We're going to see what is available to us out there and how we can make that work. But that we really want to work with the businesses in the downtown district and making sure that they can be a part of the festival. Hopefully this provides some great opportunities for them to take advantage of the amount of people that we should have down there, and kind of spreading them out between different venues in different areas.
So what was the concept of having no beer? What was the, anti-beer and wine coolers or whatever? What prompted that?
Well, we definitely don't want to be anti-beer or wine. We all enjoy that at some point, I think. I think we're trying to create less of a gathering in a small, tight area, and that's what our previous beer garden has created for us. So we really wanted to limit the amount of entertainment and still looking at the guidelines that the state is providing through the MDHHS and through the CDC, and how we can actually put on some kind of event this summer and hope that some of the guidelines will loosen up as we move forward.
And I'll actually...
Are other street fairs going to happen and do the same thing, such as Wyandotte or Plymouth, or what are they doing?
I'm excited to say I think we're further along than a lot of them. But I think everybody's going to be trying to get information from each other and work together to figure out the safest way to do an event like this. We've already seen the Sam Jam in Woodhaven cancel their event this year, and we're hoping that we can put on a different type of event that'll be socially distanced and still fun for everybody to enjoy. So it's definitely going to take some creativity. We've got a great group in our committee and a lot of new people, new ideas, and all of them are coming together to make this work. So,
okay, great. All right, thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you both, and I'll just piggyback a little bit, Timber, on what you asked too. Is we've actually just even right up until before this meeting started, just a couple minutes before, was talking to Dean and Alan about what we can do with the state, the new law that was passed last year, called social districts, to try and allow for whether whereas before it was sort of, we had the beer area fenced off in a more compact area, but that we might be able to do something that allows people to purchase alcohol from some of the businesses downtown and walk throughout the entirety of the festival or some sort of area, do it so it isn't that packed into one area type of situation, but still allows people to enjoy themselves and all that the festival has to offer with that. So we think we've got some guidelines that other communities have worked on that we've been digging through and hope to have something within the next couple meetings for all of council's approval too.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Next up, Councilman Bundetti.
Actually, no, I have nothing tonight for you.
Feeling okay?
Yeah. I'll have them in the next meeting for you.
Fair enough. Yeah, I should be careful with that one. All right, Councilman LaFever, do you have
I'm
anything?
going to follow my good friend Rick and keep my mouth shut this time.
Why start now?
Now you guys are going to start making me sweat over here.
Winnie will take care of it.
That's just more time for me. Yeah, exactly.
Councilwoman Pate.
I could talk all night for you guys. So first, I just want to thank the mayor for working with me and one of the residents about a year ago who came to us with a situation that I think I was able to come up with a solution for, and the mayor helped work on that and get this to happen. It's the Cultural Commission. And so I want to thank all the people who reached out to me and the mayor and wanted to serve, and they are very diverse, very talented people that we have in our community that would like to share their backgrounds and their culture and their artistic abilities and create some really interesting events for the city. They're an advisory board, and I'm really excited to see what they come up with. And I think it fills a void that our community has needed. This was in our charter, but was not active, and I think it's one of the best things we can do to get this going again. So I thank them, and they will be meeting very soon, and hopefully get a chance to meet each other, and we can have some updates on what their thoughts are for what they can provide to better round out our community and share their talents, and of not just them, but all, everybody in our city. So I'm very happy about that. And then I know basketball is over, but I tend to work late at night and send some emails out. I'm notorious for that at in the late hours. And so I had sent out an email, and Paul Haley had returned my email. It was about 11:30 at night. And I said, "Oh, Paul, you must be up watching the basketball game." And he said, "Oh, no, I am studying for some kind of exam that he had to take for emergency preparedness." And so I just wanted to give him a little shout out, and hopefully he did well on his exam for us, and I know he probably did. But to be up that late studying, it just, kind of thought we should give him some kudos for
Absolutely.
that, for sure. And also we were working with Tim Beaker and Kevin Sargent on getting, and also the City Beautiful Commission on getting some new trash can receptacles, and we're very close to being able to come up with a proposal for council on that, and maybe use the city aesthetics money or something that we can do to spruce up the parks and the way they look, and for a way of hiding the ugly trash cans.
Sure.
But also making it very easy for people to pick up that have to do the takeaway. So I think we've finally come up with a solution on that. And I'm also working on a grant, an AARP grant for a Serenity Park. So I will forward that information if we end up getting the grant. It's pretty exciting, and it would be located at Meyer Elias Park. And I wanted to thank Tim for sitting with me the other day and working on that. It's part of the Trail Town project as well, because that's one of our trailheads is at the King Road entrance there, which reminds me that I'm still working on the mural project for us as well. And that one's going a little slower, but hopefully we'll get some good news with a grant. And if not, we have the plans available that we can present to everybody and see if there's another way we can pay for it, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been working hard at little projects here and there and keeping busy, and that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much.
Great. No, thank you very much, Councilwoman. I appreciate that. And I guess now that I realize the two other things that I had forgotten to mention, but you'd clicked in my brain there, but I did want to give a special thank you, and I know I shouldn't get into naming individuals, but to thank Paul, to thank Chief Anderson, to thank Teresa for all the help they've been in getting this vaccine clinic not only brought here, but organized, everyone's scheduled, all those unbelievable things. And I really, I know I've said it all to all of them, but I really can't say thank you enough for all the work that has gone into that. And then the only other thing that actually it's happened about an hour before the meeting that I pulled this off my door, and I wanted to just confirm, Madam Clerk, we didn't have anyone come through with a bottle drive for this Haven group, did we? Okay, I just wanted to confirm before I said it. So I don't know if anyone else got this. I saw this flyer on my door. I got the Ring doorbell notification that someone was there, and then I saw someone dropping a flyer off. But I got this about a bottle drive coming up this Sunday. And I just wanted everyone to be aware that I don't know anything about the group or whether this is legit or not, and they very, very well could be, but I just wanted to make sure that people knew that this wasn't something that had gone to the city and had been reviewed by us. So just to be leery on those things, or if anyone knows, they don't have a phone number, unfortunately, so we couldn't reach out to them. But if anyone knows anyone with this group that has been passing this out for a bottle drive, just to please have them contact the city, just so we can make sure that the folks wandering through our neighborhoods are legitimate and all that good stuff too. All right, so no other members of council here, so we will go to our other elected officials. Madam Clerk, do you have anything for us tonight?
I'd like to just say that our next council meeting is next Monday, April 19th at 7 p.m., and we will be holding a budget session immediately following that meeting on April 19th.
Great, thank you, Madam Clerk. Next up, our assessor, Mr. Dahlquist, do you have anything for us tonight?
Nope, there you go. Thank you, Mayor Rizzup. I have nothing for you tonight.
Thank you very much. Next up, from our treasurer's office, I don't see Mr. McCullough on.
Nope, I am filling in for Mike tonight, so we have nothing to report, though. Thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you very much, Jill. I appreciate that. All right, so next up, we have our department heads here. Are there any of our department heads wishing to speak to the public here tonight? If so, feel free to just unmute yourself at this point. That's A-okay with me. All right. Seeing nothing from any of our department heads, this is where we will...
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
If I may, I forgot one piece. I feel foolish for saying this because I didn't mention it in my earlier comments. I'd be remiss if we didn't mention the passing of our former city planner, Mr. Ben Tallarico. And for those of you who didn't know, he left us not too long ago, and I'll tell you, I had the honor of working with Ben for many years, being a member of the Planning Commission. And my sympathies go out to his family, and during this tough time. And Ben, if you didn't have the opportunity to meet him, he was just nothing but a gentleman. And whether he agreed with you or not, he was really. He treated you like you were the most important person in the world. And so, my heart goes out to him and his family. It's a great loss for this community because he was instrumental and really did a great job guiding the PC. So, just wanted to make that comment.
No, thank you for that, Councilman. I appreciate that, and that was certainly something I had to just change my notes here because I had made a note to do a moment of silence, so we'll be sure to do that for Ben for the next meeting here. He really was a fantastic guy, and is certainly someone we're going to miss. Not only both an incredibly intelligent planner, but a just really, really good person.
Yeah.
All right. Now we'll move on here into public comment. So if there's anyone from the public wishing to speak on the Zoom function, you're able to do so by clicking participants and then raise hand on the bottom of your screen. We'd ask that you begin by stating your name and address, that you limit your comments to 5 minutes, and that you direct all questions through me, the chair. So once again, on the participants tab at the bottom of the screen, click raise hand, and then we can go from there. We'll see if there's anyone from the public wishing to speak. All right. Seeing none,
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
we has moved and supported to adjourn. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I guess I will give everyone the heads up that we are going to continue to use this same Zoom link here for all those that are logged in for the budget presentation. We're going to take a 5 to 10 minute break just to get up to recess, stretch, use the restroom, all that good stuff. But then we'll be back right here after for my presentation of our upcoming year's budget. So seeing no further discussion, is unanimously so ordered, and the meeting is adjourned at 8:29 p.m. So we'll take about a 5 to 10 minute break here and then get started on the budget presentation. So thank you all very much. how much money we know we have to appropriate. And we'll talk about each of those, but over the past 10 to 20 years, our community, and not just ours, but everywhere across the state, has seen huge declines in the state shared revenue that is provided by the state government. We've seen the value of a mill in our community drop substantially, which is counterintuitive and surprising to a lot of people. But given, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, about why that is and how that came about. But where we still, I guess I will make very clear, while we've maintained the same millage rate and do not propose to change it in this budget, the actual amount of money that one mill brings in has declined tremendously since the housing market collapse of the late 2000s. And then from that same token, we've managed really to do a lot more with less. I think that from 10, 20, even 5 years ago, the number of full-time employees in our community has continued to drop, while we have certainly done our best to maintain the amount of services provided to our residents that make our community such a great place to live. So we'll go to the next slide from there. So this portion here is our state shared revenue declines here, and this was data from the Michigan Municipal League. And this was unfortunately the same chart that I'd used last year in the budget because they didn't have the updated one from there. But the reduction in statutory revenue we received from the state of Michigan since 2002 accounts for over $1.2 million in lost revenue in this year's city budget alone. And that is just for 1 year. Cumulatively, in the amounts that we have lost since 2002, that number is closer to $12.5 million. So I just, think about all the good things that we'd be able to do had that money even kept coming in at an even rate. But $1.2 million that we could have had in this budget alone had the state continued to fund communities in the way that they had prior to that. Next slide, please. So this here is when I reference what the value of a mill is in our community. This is the chart that I'm talking about. So whereas before the housing market collapsed in 2008, and the Great Recession and all the fun that ensued from that, one mill brought into our community almost $850,000 per year. In this budget, one mill brings in $626,000 per year. And when we're talking about an operating budget of 20 mills, you could kind of do the math on how much money we're losing just from what we had even a decade ago. And now a lot of, I guess you're right, there is a lot of confusion as why that is the way that it is. And as you can see here, while property values have rebounded incredibly since the Great Recession, our community, or all communities across the state of Michigan, are funded through a mechanism between Proposal A, which is a constitutional amendment from, I believe, 1994, and then the Headley Amendment, which I think came about in the early 80s, that dictates how property taxes work, frankly, and how that funds communities. So what that really means is when your housing value falls, as you'd probably imagine, your property taxes fall. However, which is pretty much exactly what happened in 2008, 2009, when there was just an absolute free fall for housing values. The market plummeted. It was a terrible, terrible time, and I'm sure anyone watching remembers that vividly. However, what it doesn't account for is when it does fall that dramatically, it basically inhibits the revenue from catching up because while it can fall at any rate, the actual increase cannot be higher than the rate of inflation. So even if the rate of inflation, or I could get this number wrong and I'm probably going to make a fool of myself, but it's either the rate of inflation, I think, or 4%, whichever is lower. And so while that, this was based on the assumption in the early 80s that, property could never depreciate in value and that something like this would never happen. But unfortunately it did, and we're bearing the brunt of it to this day. So while, housing prices, I think over the last year have averaged an increase across the state of 10%, and I'm sure it's been even higher in Trenton. I mean, you can drive around and see, if you see a for sale sign up for longer than 2 days, it's nothing short of a miracle here. But so while, the value of your home could increase by 10, 15% in terms of sale price, your property taxes are not increasing at that same rate whatsoever. So while, it might have dropped, the value of 1 mil, it would have dropped by over about a third or a quarter in over a 2 to 3 year span, but it will take literally decades to make up, to get back to that level that we were at previously, based on the rate of inflation and things like that. So, what 1 mil brought in for us, nearly $850,000 in 2008. Last year's budget, 1 mil was valued at $619,000, and again, this year's it is $626,000. And I guess I will say for everyone watching at home too, this budget does not propose a millage rate increase at all. All right, next slide. So as I mentioned before here, our staffing levels. While we've continuously shrunk our workforce over the past 2 decades through attrition and retirements, we've still been able to maintain an excellent level of service provided to our residents and have continuously done more with less. I'm really proud that we have not done so by laying folks off, but just like I said, through retirements and natural attrition, trying to reorganize departments, how they look, and what roles and responsibilities individuals have. We've had to get creative, and we're stretched pretty thin. I don't think that anyone feels otherwise more often than not here. But yeah, in 2000, we had 200 full-time employees with the city. By 2010, it was about 160, and today it's about 140. So we've continued to look for new ways to go about these things, but frankly, that has been where the bulk of much of our savings has been, again, doing more with less people and trying to maintain the level of service that we're able to provide. Next slide, please. So now I want to talk a little bit about the overall kind of big picture financial status for us here, what debt obligations we've got on the books, where we're looking at for our fund balance, millage rate, legacy costs, and things of that nature. So if we go to the next slide, we'll talk about our debt obligations for the community here. Fun stuff, right? So, one of the big things that we've talked about around this table, not only recently, but over the last several years, and frankly, as long as I have been on council, is the loss of DTE. We know that this is closing. It's looking to be shuttered. Was it May of 22? Yep, May of 22. Will be closed from there, and there was plenty of unknowns with that. Of hey, what kind of revenue are we still going to be able to get, if any? That we were able to come to a settlement agreement that while we unfortunately are still going to lose money from DTE's closure every year, we at least know what that amount of money is. So while the loss of revenue from DTE will be substantial in the coming years, which you can see in the chart here, we do have some pretty massive debt obligations coming off the books for us as well. In this proposed budget, we will lose roughly $200,000 in revenue from DTE. But at the same time, we paid off $725,000 in annual sewer debt from last year. In the coming year after that, fiscal year 2023, so not this budget, but the one after, we'll be losing another $310,000 from DTE in revenue, but also we'll be alleviating about $940,000 in sewer debt, which does have a direct impact on our general fund. And then after that, fiscal year 24, we'll be losing another $235,000 in DTE revenue, but $60,000 in sewer debt will be off the books, about $500,000 in rink and pool debt, another $120,000 in annual general fund debt coming off the books, all in the near future. So that's definitely no small number that we're going to be losing from the loss of from DTE's plant closure, but we do have some of these big ticket sewer debt items coming off the books for us that are really going to help alleviate a lot of it. That won't be the end all be all for us, but it at least puts us in the right direction here. Next slide, please. So our current fund balance status, I had asked our controller, Ms. Saul, to help me out with some of these numbers here. So currently in our fund balance, we've got roughly $7.7 million. For those watching at home, this is, I I don't know that I want to totally call it our rainy day fund, but something of the sorts where it's, yes, where we try and keep, reserves for emergency situations, things of that nature. So currently in that fund balance, it's $7.7 million, but some of that is restricted based on certain projects or enterprise funds. So leaving our available fund balance to be roughly $4.9 million right now. The recommended, based on good accounting standards, the recommendation is that your fund balance should be 15 to 20% of your annual budget. So based on the number that we have for this year's budget, that puts that 15 to 20% range would be 3.1 to 4.1 million. So it does show us that while we are getting a little bit close to the high end there, we do still have a pretty healthy fund balance, relatively speaking, is all. Obviously, I don't think anyone's going to say that we're too comfortable with what we've got in there, and that you never know what crazy crisis may hit. But as a whole, we are in pretty good position with where we are for fund balance right now. Next slide, please. So this chart here breaks down the overall millage levy for over the last, what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years here. So it actually had one in here that went back even further, but frankly, the text got too small trying to fit it onto here, but there wasn't too much fluctuation from there. So speaking just solely myself being elected in 2013, so in the 8 years I've been here, but even going a little bit further than that, over the last decade, outside of a one-year increase of $1 million that was dedicated specifically to capital improvements that was then reduced again the following budget year, our millage rate has remained flat for nearly a decade with no tax increases on our residents. Any increases in your property taxes, directly from the city, have been solely attributed to property values increasing. And now there obviously have been other things like the bond passed by the school district and things of that nature over time. But in terms of what is levied by the city and what is set by this council, there have not been any millage rate increases in the last decade, and this budget does not propose changing any either, or does not propose any millage rate increases either. So next slide, please. So legacy costs is, I think, frankly, the big item here for what we face in terms of our obligations. Now, I'm sure everyone here in this body remembers that last year we had adopted a newer consistent amortization schedule for our MERS plan. That rather than the wildly fluctuating amounts that we were going to be paying, I think got as high as $4.2 million and then dropped to $600,000 in a matter of years. It results in flat rate payments of $2.5 million per year through the fiscal year 2026, rather than those fluctuating amounts. So that way we know we've got a much more stable projection for our budget. It's way easier for us to be able to build around a number that we know is coming and isn't going to have some sort of massive change. Our OPEB Aarp, which are other post-employment benefits, aka our retiree health care fund, the contributions we have for this year is set at just under $5.5 million. And then our police and fire Aarp is a little over $2.1 million. So all told, between police and fire, MERS, and OPEB, it constitutes about $10 million out of a roughly $20 million budget. So these are certainly important costs that we need to live up to and make sure our obligations are met to all those it is owed to. So next slide, please. So after going through all of the department head requests and meeting with all of them and incorporating their recommendations, and I guess I will say comfortably that none of the department heads had anything that was absurd, that was scoffed at, that immediately rose my blood pressure through the roof or anything like that. They were all quite reasonable about everything. They were very understanding, so I do have to commend them on that. But all that being told, after compiling the requested budgets of all the department heads, we began this budget process looking at a deficit of $1.377 million. So that is when I got to have a lot of fun meetings with Dean and Karen to figure out how do we get this to a break-even balanced budget point to make sure we are in line with our charter here. So, next slide, please, Teresa. So from that, we had some chipping away to do. And I guess, well, no pun intended, given the first item here. They literally didn't mean a pun there. So I went through here, and this slide kind of lays out how we started to maybe whittle away. We'll go with that one instead. At some of these, at that frankly massive number. I won't say exactly what I said when Karen told me the word or the total that we were at deficit wise. I was hoping for a much lower number, but yeah, why make things easy on us, huh? So the changes that were incorporated from what the department heads requested to what I put together as part of my budget are laid out here, at least in partiality here. So what that included was rather than the outright purchase of a trash truck and a truck and chipper for our DPS departments, proposing to finance those over a 5-year period, which would save us roughly $361,000 in this year's budget. The next item we had was the vacant ground and forest supervisor position that talked about actually, while relatively maintaining this, but changing it to more of a working foreman type position, where it will be from someone who's likely in the ranks currently, but doesn't create a new position, but gives them a little bit extra responsibility in their position, and that will save us about $60,000 as well. Through Ms. Saul's creativity here, we were able to turn over some couch cushions to find about $200,000 in savings by the use of our self-insurance fund balance towards our retiree health care payments. We included a $100,000 one-time use of sewer restricted funds to pay down that angle. And then another $55,000 in library restricted funds to go towards funding that endeavor. After talking with our engineering and building department, we looked at the projected revenue side of some things too, thinking that, knock on wood, the construction season will hopefully not have like a month-long gap this year due to the pandemic, and that we can probably expect more to come in terms of building permits, ordinance violations, rental inspections, and our dumpster and special pickup fees, which it added an additional savings of roughly $72,000 into our budget. We did some finagling and made some various changes to how the motor vehicle pool budget is distributed, which resulted in another savings of about $73,000. We saved about $9,000 as well from some slight reorganizations in the roles and responsibilities of our Parks and Rec department. And then lastly, we had a pickup truck purchase for our fire department that rather than add that in separately, and we can talk about this further, but the future equipment fund that we had started in our fire department for those bigger purchases, we're just going to use $30,000 out of that money that we've set aside there, as opposed to creating a new budget line item for that. So, next slide, please. So even after all those remaining changes, after scrounging and scraping and seeing what we could find, the remaining budget deficit we were still looking at went from that $1.377 million down to $416,257. So we got close, but we still weren't all the way there. So next slide, please. So we'll go into it a little bit further here. But the one saving grace that I think we're going to have here for us, particularly for this budget and next, was through the American Rescue Plan, the stimulus plan passed by the federal government that is going to provide some direct relief to state and local governments. While we're still awaiting some of our additional clarity and insight on what exactly the allowable expenditures will be, we do have a pretty good frame of reference, at least, and then still have some I's to dot, T's to cross, things of that nature, and confirmations from the state treasury and the federal Department of Treasury and things like that. But one thing we do know is that Trenton will be getting $895,000 this year and $895,000 next year to alleviate some of the economic damages that we've faced from the pandemic. Now, we do know that this money is not just going to be a one lump sum gift to us to use for whatever it is that we'd like, just completely unrestricted general fund dollars to plug into our budget gap. So we can't exactly use this money to plug that remaining $416,257 directly, but can get a little bit creative. The thresholds that the guidelines that they've given, the direct quotes I think we've gotten were that what the money can be used for is to respond to the COVID-19 emergency and address its economic effects, including through aid to households, small businesses, nonprofits, and impacted industries such as tourism and hospitality. Can provide premium pay to essential employees of state and local governments or make grants to the employers of essential employees. It can provide government services to the extent of any revenue reduction resulting from COVID-19, which is going to be a big angle for me on the next slide here, but yes. And then lastly, it can be used to make investments in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure for our community. So taking this knowledge, and while we don't have the final confirmations on this, they did give a pretty good frame of reference, and all indications have shown that they don't want to be too overbearing with strings attached to this money and want us to be able to spend it, frankly. So next slide, please, Teresa. So I am proposing that we use that remaining, we balance the remaining $416,257,000 through fund balance. However, and this is where it gets a little bit creative, but based on the criteria laid out by the American Rescue Plan, the money that just a couple months ago we had to transfer to the ice rink, about $550,000 in fund balance to make up for the lost rink revenue, should be a reimbursable expense for us as part of the American Rescue Plan. So while we can't apply the $416,000, $416,257 to the upcoming budget deficit straight from that plan, we can retroactively apply that to the lost rink revenue and then transfer the funds that we had previously moved to cover that rink back into the that rink deficit back into the general fund. So it sounds a little bit I hate to say like a accounting gimmick or anything like that, because if anything, it is proper and is exactly how it should be done. So I don't want to make it sound like it's some sort of smoke and mirrors or anything like that. But it's a little bit more convoluted, but it does make sense. We recently also, much to my pleasure, received an additional $200,000 in funding from the federal government for public safety and public health reimbursements that will also be applied to the general fund for previous expenditures from last year. And that money is separate from that $895,000 that we know that we're going to be getting from the federal government too. So, in short, based on all these accounting standards, we will be applying fund balance to cover this deficit, but in total, our fund balance totals should increase from what the current levels are, given that that $550,000 is going to be, that we transfer to the rink, is coming back into the fold for us here. So that, I think, is a very good sign for us here. And then next slide, please, Teresa. So lastly here, I think that just sort of our eyes on the prize going forward, that unfortunately, we don't pass the budget and then close the book on it and pick it back up another year. So it's obviously something that we work through every day, every week, and has lots of moving parts to it. But we're still going to have lots of opportunities going forward to continue to reorganize their departments, build on individuals' strengths, and find what opportunities that we have there. At the same time, we know that we are going to be losing more revenue from DTE in the coming years. And not only that, but the local community stabilization money that has been our replacement for the personal property tax that was repealed in 2015. We know that money is dwindling fast for us in terms of what the state gives us there, and that it's not going to last much longer, if we're probably being honest. We do still have many of those major debt obligations coming off the books that I had laid out previously over the coming years. We're still going to be working with other communities on different potential partnerships for shared services, including maybe something for a recycling center and the transfer station, depending on how things go there. One thing that is not included in this budget at all is anything reflective of the ongoing contract negotiations. So that is likely something that we'll have to address when that time comes, along with, if we're being honest, some badly needed IT infrastructure upgrades to make sure that we've found the challenges that we've had and over the last few months, and I think everyone here is keenly aware of what they may be, but making sure that we've got the resources that all of our staff, not only in City Hall, but across the street, and our different stations and things like that, that everyone has the opportunity and frankly the tools they need to be able to succeed and do their jobs the right way. And we're still looking for additional clarity and frankly, I guess, leeway for what spending opportunities we might be able to have with some of that American Rescue Plan money that's going to go a long way for us here. So with that, I think that actually concludes my presentation. So I will turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Benedetti.
Well, thanks, Mayor. I appreciate that. I will say that not everybody can see our controller here, but I didn't see her face get red or her start throwing things, so I think she agrees with this plan this year. So I'm happy to hear that. But, yeah, so did I. So we all have the mayor's budget now in front of us from the department heads.
Can you mute her? What is that?
So Timber's got her volume off, so a lot it's feeding back. So we all have the budget.
Stephen,
Oh, yep, Timber.
just to clarify, I cannot hear one thing out of these microphones that anybody's saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually
So,
switch with
if-
Rick right now. That'll probably help us here. That way he'll be
Yeah.
able to speak into this one.
I don't know how to operate this thing, so.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, thanks. So what I was saying, Timber, is one of the things that we're going to do is, like last year, I need all the council, you have the budgets in front of you, we just got them today. If you can go through, look at them, if you have questions, get them to Stephen or Dean, and they can present them to the department heads. Like I said, they did a great job. I mean, we sat and talked about this a couple weeks ago with Stephen, the mayor, and Karen, and it looks like a plan that works. I mean, thank goodness we're going to be getting some of the money back that we had to spend on different things that we didn't anticipate this year with COVID going on for a year and some months. So I think we need to look at this and get through it. I know the department heads, if there's department heads that really, really want something, in the past, they've come and talked to the council, but I think they all realize this too, that we are running a very good city here with less employees, and we're still offering some great services. And like Stephen said, we haven't raised the taxes here in 10 years, and we don't plan on doing it this year either. So I think that says a lot to the department heads and the people that lead our city. So all I can ask is that you go through, take a good look at it. If you got questions, present them to them. We have meetings set up. I think I left them over there. That's on this paper. Yeah, we picked them, I'm sorry. We picked them at the regular council meeting. We went through and talked about them. So our next meeting would actually be on April 19th, after the regular council meeting, that we can start this. The reason I ask for your questions, that way we know what department heads, we have to make sure they're on the Zoom and either here or from their house. But we'll do it Monday, April 19th, after the regular council meeting. April 22nd, we'll have just a meeting just for the budget. And if we need one, Tuesday, April 27th, to finish up with that. If we need more, then we'll schedule more. But I just don't see where there's a lot here we can take in and out of this budget. I mean, we got a chance to look at it. Okay, it was online for us in the board docs part of it, so, I mean, we all have it in front of us. Go home, do your homework, and come up with ideas. If you think something needs to be done differently, that's fine, but if it requires spending money, we gotta find someplace to get it. And it's just not there. We all know that. It's been this way for a couple of years. That's really all I got, unless you guys have anything that you want to add to it.
And if anyone has like specific questions about my presentation too, I'm happy to answer those. I know we might not want to get into the nitty gritty without the department heads and stuff, but if there's anything related to that, I'm happy to.
Timber, do you have anything that you'd like to add? I know you're...
Well, the only question I have, that $500,000 subsidy that we made to the rink, was that for 2019 or 2020?
For 21, actually.
For 21. The budget we're currently in, correct?
Currently, they lost.
Hang on, we're waiting for Karen to answer that.
Yeah,
this year's
20.
budget. Yeah, the one we're living in right now.
The first half of this year.
So, yeah, for 2021, from June to June.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
The 2021 budget.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I'm just worried about that. And I guess from Tim Beaker, I need to know going forward, what's the prospectus for that rink and pool losing that kind of money for the following year going forward? See, that's what I'm concerned about. We can subsidize it now with the 500 that, out of the 850 we're getting, but my question is that's not sustainable. So I'm just wondering how much, is this due to COVID or less programming, less ice feet? What do they prospect going forward is what I'm going to want to know. I don't have to do it tonight, but
right. So
just one of my questions.
Page 90.
So Tim, you probably can't hear Tim, I don't think. Do I have to unmute him?
Yeah, I think I think everyone on the Zoom can hear each other.
You could hear Timber's question, Tim?
Yes, I could.
Okay, so next, after our regular council meeting for the first budget study session, I guess you're going to be in a hot seat to answer questions on what you think next year's projections, are they truly what's in the budget, or do we, if COVID doesn't change or stays the way it is that how we projected it, or did we hope that it's gone and we open up more next year? So that night, you'll be asked some questions, I think, and we'll give you time to get those answers together, which you probably already have them, but let's save them for that night. Let everybody digest this, look at it, because I didn't completely scrutinize your budget to see where we're at, but, that way we can go with it on that day.
Sounds good.
Okay?
And also, Rick, I have another question.
Sure.
That I want to know for next week too, is the aesthetics account that we put the money in for upgrading, flowers and different things in the community. How much money is left in that account? And are we going to allow for money for next year so we can do some of the same upgrades for the aesthetics of the community?
Karen's taking notes, so I can guarantee you that she'll have those answers for you next week if there's money left.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. Anything else for you, Timber?
No, thank you very much.
Wendy?
Actually, I've had a chance to look over the budget, and I don't see any departments asking for anything different than last year's. The amount of increases for each department seems to be roughly like 4%, and most of those costs are in hospitalization and benefits. There's been a lot of reorganization, and it looks very tight, and I'm not really going to have a lot to ask. I do think that the last year, I remember one of the things in the mayor's proposal was something about a heater, something for the Kennedy Rec Center that we had to put off.
Exchange, I think.
Was it the heat exchange? So those are the things that I haven't had a chance to look at yet, as far as like, are we doing that this year? Do they still need it? And then the other questions I would have for IT is and I have, like I said, I just did a general look of it. So specifically, if there is any help for Teresa in her department, for a part-time person or a full-time person. And and also in the building department, if there's a way to rearrange the employees in there a little bit. And also, let's see, what else were some things off the top of my head? And then just the big projects, just seeing what's in there as far as like, are we going to do anything new and different to improve the city next year? Or are we just basically going to, keep things running the same? Or do we have any new ideas in there? The police department didn't really ask for much different from last year. I don't see huge changes there. So if there's anything they need that they didn't ask for, those are some things I'd be interested in.
Okay. What are you?
No, I'm ready for next week.
You what?
Ready for next week, go through.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Campbell?
You know, I see the mayor put in here needed IT infrastructure upgrades, and I guess my question for that is it actually just routine maintenance or maintenance to get the existing same result, or are we looking at IT upgrades in the sense that it's going to yield some better productivity? So, for example, like in my business, we're actually putting computers in trucks, and to get more productivity, to save more time at the beginning of the day, end of the day, helps for dispatching, helps for routing. Are we looking at any of those kind of upgrades, and kind of like by investing in technology or investing in new equipment, are we looking at getting like different results?
Do you mind if I?
No, go ahead.
Okay. No, I think so. The answer from my perspective right now is absolutely anything. That I so much of this is just waiting on to see. So one of the key line items on there for the American Rescue Plan was the broadband infrastructure, that we're hoping to see if we can use that as an angle to use some of the funds there to upgrade, whether it be remote work capabilities, things like that. But basically, it's going to be relying a lot on me talking to Teresa and finding out what she thinks we need, because this is. I might be the stereotypical young person, but there is the threshold of where I don't understand any of this, don't need to, don't want to. But yeah, I think that it's become eminently clear that we just need to get some more help over there and bring us closer to the 21st century and out of the chewing gum and shoestring type stuff that some of this has been. And just to make sure that we've got the help that our IT team needs for sure.
I mean, I saw a community the other day that invested in changed their salt fleet from just traditional salt to a brine solution, and it saved them 25% in their road salt costs. Now, I don't know what that yields in upfront equipment, but those are the kinds of things that looking outside the box, getting creative. Maybe it works for us, maybe it doesn't, and it works for that community better than us. I don't know. That's up to Kevin and his company, but just kind of those are the things I would have questions on once I get into the meat and potatoes of it.
All right, so like I said, Timber's already placed some good questions out for Tim, so we know we're going to have him on the first budget meeting. If there's a certain department head somebody wants to talk to at the next ones, I mean, I was never a big fan of making every one of them come in there and explain their budget, and then we go, oh, okay, but we're still not going to give you anything. I mean, I sat through them for too many years. That, if there's something they really need, they know how to reach us, but if there's questions we have for them, we ask that you run them through the mayor or the administrator. And if you want to meet with them, that's fine, but we still want them to go before the administrator, because they ultimately all answer to him too, so. Okay?
Yep.
Well, if there's nothing else, I'll look for the administrator, if he's got anything, or Ms. Saul. Anything you'd like to add to the great presentation Stephen put together? Well, I will turn it back over to Stephen.
All right, if you insist.
Give you a couple minutes.
All righty. So I think that's that, but so we have one last call. Any other additional questions, comments, concerns? So I think we'll be meeting here. We'll have our regular meeting at 7 o'clock next Monday with this budget meeting to follow. As Mayor Pro Tem said, please communicate any questions you may have in advance to myself or Dean, just so we have the opportunity to funnel those to department heads and make sure that they've got all the information to be prepared for those budget meetings and that all the right folks are on. But with that, I will look forward to these next few meetings doing this. So I do know that we've got to open up just to see if there's anyone else on the Zoom that has any comments, questions, anything like that. I don't know that we have anyone. Feel free to raise your hand in the participants tab or unmute yourself if so. Seeing none, as we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none is unanimously so ordered for adjournment at 9:21 PM. So thank you all very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.